Hello, my name is Annalise Smith, and I am here today to visit with Nora Boylan, Boylan. Nora has been a participant with our Avow bereavement programs. I don't know yet for how long, that'll be part of our discussion. Nora has agreed to sit with me today to talk a little bit about her experience with Avow bereavement programs and to share a little bit about her experience and how the program has positively impacted her life as a participant. So, Nora, welcome. We're glad you're here today. Thank you for
Hi.
making the time to visit with me. Can you tell me first a little bit about what brought you to Avow? What led you to Avow's bereavement program to begin with?
Okay, so my husband passed suddenly home in the bed, and I was right here just changing pillowcases and moved him one way. And I mean, he wasn't sick, he wasn't feeling that well, and I moved the pill. I moved him, with his help to the other end of the bed so I could change pillowcases. And by the time I turned around to get him, he was dead. Didn't hear anything, and so I lived with that for probably 6 weeks or something. That the grief and the stages of loss that I've learned a lot about already. Um, the stages of grief, the 5 stages of grief, I guess. So anyway, I being mad at God and the world and everything, I decided I would go to church and talk to my priest. And we talked for a while, and he, um, because of COVID, there was no counseling there. Okay, so he puts his head down, just gently like this, and he goes, "So for your penance, I want you to call a vow. Are you okay with that?" Is what he says to me, and I said, "Yes, yes, yes." So that's what led me to come to a vow.
Okay,
Yeah,
wonderful. Well,
I was sent by the Spirit to come to a vow. That's how I look at it.
Well,
Hmm.
that's awesome. It's great to know that we have other people, allies in the community that are directing people to us
Hmm.
when they are seeking or needing this important service in their time of grief. And certainly, it is somewhat unique, but not altogether unfathomable for people to come to us without having a direct experience with our hospice care. A lot of times the bereaved come to us because their loved one was under a vow hospice prior to them dying. But with your husband having this sort of sudden and unexpected death, you hadn't had a previous experience with us to know that we were there for you either. So it's important for people to understand that our grief and bereavement services are for anyone, not
Hmm.
just for people who have had the hospice interaction first.
Right.
So you did come to us during COVID. Tell us a little bit about, did you call us on the phone? Did you write us a letter? How did you first interact with our team
Okay.
to get started?
So yeah, the communication started because I called and told them that I was directed by my priest to give a call and to set up for some counseling. So I did receive a call from Claudia. I don't recall her last name. I know that she's since left, unfortunately. That's because she was very, very good. As all the counselors there have been so helpful. So Claudia came here for the sessions, and she kept telling me about the Zooms, and I'm like, I don't think I want to do that. I don't think no, And then finally, I can I guess I can be stubborn, or I don't want to. I didn't feel comfortable. I don't know what it was. I just didn't want to do that. Then something clicked, and I said, okay, well, why not? I'm telling myself, you had this conversation since there's no one else here to talk to when you're by yourself.
Mhm.
And I called and set up with basic just a couple, like the 1 year bereavement group, the widowers, uh, and there might have been one more. Long story short, I am now involved in 8 in a week
Wow. Eight
sessions.
eight Avow groups?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
Holy cow, you must be just about ready to lead one of the groups at this
I
point.
know.
So
Yeah,
so
it's
this is interesting too. So Claudia actually went to visit with you at your home on a
correct.
one-on-one basis first. So you experienced individual counseling first. Can you tell us a little bit about, what happened at an individual counseling session? What takes place there? What did you learn about yourself or the grieving process?
Mhm.
How did it impact you to have those individual sessions?
Uh, First off, she's fantastic. I mean, she was just like an angel sent from God, okay? And she was very comfortable to talk with, and she would ask how I was doing. And, I would tell her because I was not doing very well. Not that I'm doing a whole lot better, but I'm doing somewhat better now, with my education. And what I learned the most is self-care. She wanted to make sure that I was taking care of myself and that if I had support, and I have 11 brothers and sisters, not here with me in Naples, but around the country. And yes, I get a lot of support. I have another friend that checks in on me, and back to the beginning, And anyway, that's how it all started. And she would come um, discuss with me what process I'm at. She wanted to hear from me how I was doing, how am I handling things, and she was marveled with my ability to continue to do what I needed to do with the functions around the house. Because that's what keeps you going. She said that I was very strong, although I didn't feel like it at all. Still don't feel like it now, but you have to do what your day brings you. And
Mhm.
she gave me the confidence to know that what I was doing was the best that I could do. And, she was rest assured that whatever I needed, to give her a call anytime, and she would help me. And we ended since I'm obviously into the higher power of my God, which is Jesus Christ. I have to say that that helps me a lot. That she too felt the same way, so we were able to talk about that. And then we ended with readings, and I'm reading several books, or I read several books and reading books that we talked about those too, which is helpful because there's so much to learn with grief. The devastating, awful emotions that it brings you, no one can understand until they experience it.
Mhm.
And so she was a comfort to me. And, not persistent about the Zooms, but just talked about them, and so I came to maybe feel confident with her knowledge and, well, okay, I'll give it a try, and yeah, it was a big door to open, not a window. It was a door.
Yeah. It sounds like you developed a really high level of trust,
I
um,
did. That's exactly it. Yes.
together. Yeah, and so she offered you an opportunity maybe to step outside of your comfort zone a little bit. And
Mhm.
although you were reluctant in the beginning, it sounds like through developing that trust, you were willing to branch out and try
Mhm.
something new and do it with
Yeah.
gusto too. So you're in 8 groups. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit, or tell me a little bit about the various groups and how they differ from one another, and maybe the benefits of participating in a group versus individual.
Okay. Can I run and just get my list?
Oh, sure.
All right. I have it over here. I have to highlight it because you have to be there, 1 second.
No, that's great. You're very prepared.
I keep this function for my mind that when I always tell the kids when you join something, you'll want to, follow through and, be responsible. So this is the list of my groups, if you can see it. I have it highlighted with the different days. And
I see it. Yeah, very organized.
so on Monday, I have two, which emotional healing through journaling, which they they tell you about the journaling and how important that is. And with that, every week you're given prompts to journal on about your loved one, or if you don't like those prompts, whatever you want to talk about. And in journaling, you write it down and it just releases something on paper. You don't have to read your journal. I mean, they don't look for you to read the journal. They
Right.
they want you to experience what enhancement that has on the cognizant behavior in your mind, the cognitive behavior, that you can release it,
Mhm.
and that's important. So we just had that. Today's Tuesday, so we just had that yesterday, and you just go as you are. You
Mhm.
know, people say, "Well, I didn't have time to do that." You know, it's it's not a grade. Okay, that's one thing that they have to understand, that it's for you. Whatever you put in is what you're going to get out.
Right.
So
Right.
that's one. Another one that I did yesterday afternoon was self-care strategies, and these sessions are an hour long. Okay,
Okay.
and so the self-care strategy, where they cover everything to make sure that you're doing what you should be doing, eating, exercising. Maybe because of COVID you can't really get out and socialize, but at least you can get out and walk. Just different things you can do. Yesterday we had the massage therapist from hospice going through some meditations with us, and
Nice.
and the ability to scan from our head down to our feet to relax, because that's important too, that we take care for ourselves, you
Right.
know, and keep things the way they're supposed to be. Um,
It seems to me like both of those groups, it sounds like it's not just all talk, but there's also action involved,
oh,
where
definitely.
where you're able to really be engaged on not just a sit and listen type of thing, but you're an active participant, whether it be writing things in your journal and
Mhm.
sharing them or not sharing them, but also this self-care, like you say, you know, massage is involved and
Right.
involving the self-care and the actual tactics
Mhm.
necessary to do that. So I think that it sounds like it's probably a lot more fun to participate in something
Oh,
that's not just sitting and listening type of thing.
right, right. I mean, on one of them, I know, because this one I just started, I mean, maybe 2 months ago now. um, but they were doing poetry. You could write poems or bring a poem, just different things like that to keep you going. And the
Mhm.
whole idea is, when we get together as a group, we're just a bunch of friends getting together. By the time you go to a couple of these sessions, you come to know people, and we work off of each other. We absorb what works for them maybe will work for us, because nobody grieves the same. Not and that I discovered. And everyone's respectful for everybody. It's all shared within that group. It does No information leaves that group. So what
Mhm.
you share is important, that you can feel comfortable to share what's in your heart and your mind, whatever you need for your emotional takeaway with after that session, the Zoom session. So then, just to go down the list, I have the bereavement support group, which is tonight. That's an hour, and the times are there. They have a calendar every month, so you look at the calendar and you adjust what needs to be done, and et cetera and so forth. But in the bereavement,
How do you receive the calendar, Nora? Do you get it on email or do we mail it to you? How do you receive?
uh, no, everything comes through emails. All of your links come through email also. You'll hear from the counselor of that session, and they will send you that Monday morning. Sometimes they send it Friday, depending upon what their schedule is for that next week.
Okay.
But at all, and so the bereavement support group, there again, everyone just talks. The counselor will start, and she'll throw a question out, and then sooner or later, we're all just talking, and she's just sitting there listening to us, because we're feeding off each other.
Mm.
She'll jump in where she needs to reinforce something more important that we're needing to hear about this or that, just because everyone just getting together. I don't know what it's like if you once COVID's over, if you got to the session in the facility, maybe you could even, give somebody one of those, you can see somebody, you
Yeah,
know.
you might even be able to hug someone.
Well, I didn't want to say that because maybe that's not comfortable for some people, but
Yeah, no, but you're right. A fist pump or a high
right.
five or even just a pat on the back or a reassuring smile. I mean, you can do the smile part on Zoom, of course, but yeah,
No, it seems like a whole nother world, and
yeah,
technology's been good. I never thought I could Zoom. That was another thing. But anyway, then I can go down the others. There's three more. On Wednesday, I have think, pause, and reframe, which is the cognitive behavior of your mind, and that's a deep one. And I don't know that that's going to be staying around because it's pretty involved. It's almost like a college course.
wow. Okay.
But I know a little bit about it because it involves um, changing the negative parts of your mind to be positive. Because our bodies have been through such a trauma, shock,
Sure.
tragedy, whatever you want to call it, for the rest of life. I'm trying not to cry now, but um, yeah.
It's
So
okay to cry. I know, I'm sure you've learned that that's an important part of the
yeah,
grief
you have
process,
to. Yeah,
right?
I know, but I guess I don't want everyone to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and if you need to take a pause, that's okay too, Nora.
Now that's all right, whatever it is. If it happens at the grocery store or when I go to get pool chemicals, I'll just tell them, is it okay if I cry?
Then
And
then you
the
can blame it
world
on
is
the chemicals, right?
right. The world is really pretty good because they say it's a part of life,
Yeah.
you know. So that's what happens on Wednesday. Thursday is my big day. It's my fun day. I start with grief and spiritual health, which is, obviously for those that can or want to talk about their faith or their religion. And that's very
Mhm.
comforting to me, because I don't know if it's new. It was new for me.
Mhm.
Then we have next uh, chair yoga for self-care, which is, all by itself. And that's on Thursdays. Let me see, what was my other one? I had three on Thursday. Uh, oh, yes. So the chair yoga is first, and then, which is obviously what it says, and that ends with like a 20-minute meditation. And I'm used to yoga and meditation, so for me it's very comforting, especially since COVID's here. It's very, very relaxing.
And do you need anything to participate in that besides the Zoom in a chair? Do you need any other equipment or anything like that?
Well,
Or
she would let you know, beforehand. Like I have yoga mats just because, and I have a block, but you don't need it.
okay.
You you can do all in the chair. There are some people that will stand up. I sometimes don't stand up. I do a lot of yard work, and my body wants to sit.
Yeah. Okay.
Do the yoga. And then she'll just guide you along with what you need to know.
Okay.
She's very, very comfortable with that, and she's a certified instructor as well. So she's making sure that everybody of all ages, to listen to your body, and even if you've never done it, she walks with you very gently to help you in what to do. Then they have the 1 year bereavement, which I'm still into that because my husband, it's just been like going on 11 months.
Okay.
I do the bereavement for that because that's a whole different, even though it's a bereavement, the other is the group bereavement support group that I do on Tuesdays. But on Thursdays, it's different because we talk like, how is it doing now? Because we're so new at it yet.
Mhm.
It's it reminds me of the baby who now can move their feet. Then they're going to be doing some slow walks. Then
Sure.
they'll be, you're slowly getting into understanding what happened in my life.
Yeah.
And then it's just different when you get into the bereavement support because you have everyone more involved in their world as to how they're dealing with it, and we learn from each other.
Yeah.
That's the main thing I see. that it's very, very important. I don't know how anyone can do it without it. Then on Fridays, I have moving past grief, which is a whole nother one because that's I'm the youngest in that group as far as the time my husband has passed
Okay.
compared to the other losses of people's loved ones. It can be for parents, it can be for children, it can be for and anybody, any of these groups can be, and which is I find very interesting. It's not just for spouses,
Sure.
it can be for grandparents, mothers, brothers, and anyone that has a loss. And the
How many
grief.
how many people are in the groups? I would suspect it varies by group, but
Oh, definitely. On the average, it can be 6 to 8.
okay.
I mean, and there's a lot more Zoom sessions out there.
Yeah,
You know,
you've really jumped in, Nora. I would suspect it's somewhat unusual for people to be involved in 8 groups at one time. Um, do you feel pressured to do that, or you're just doing this
no,
because you found so
that
much?
was me. That was me. I guess in the back of my mind, I thought maybe I could go through a crash course. How you had to do a thesis, but then you can find that the cliff notes at the front of the store, rather than going to do all the hard work.
Right.
That that's not the case
Yeah. Yeah.
because they're all so different that you can't get enough. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so
Well, I appreciate you giving us the rundown of all of those groups. That's incredibly helpful because you're in such a wide variety of types of groups, and it's a
mhm.
great testament to the depth and breadth of our bereavement programs at Avow, that we do have such a variety and so many different options for people to choose from. And I would suspect too, people might try a group once and maybe not care for it, and then they can try something else. And so that's really nice. So we've been talking now for almost a half an hour. I don't want to keep you too
Oh,
long,
okay.
but I did wonder, you've shared a lot about how the groups and individual counseling have impacted your life for the better. One of the, I think, greatest things about our bereavement programs are that we don't charge any fees for
Mhm.
people to participate. And we have a lot of very generous funders that help us to pay for these programs because they're not paid for by insurance or other payer sources, and we want to continue offering these services for free to the community. If we were charging fees for the program, would you be able to participate at the level that you were, or would you perhaps not be able to join as much if you were needing to pay for the services?
That's correct. Yeah, because you have to, being on an extra fixed budget, because I am retired. My husband's not here, and I'm still supporting all that out in my mind. And I'm so thankful that hospice doesn't have a charge because we, in the state that we are all trying to live and function, that's
Mhm.
just an added burden that would hinder what we would want to be doing, and how many you could be involved with. So yes, I would have to reconsider definitely the volume that I could do.
Is there any way you could potentially value or tell me what you think the value, the monetary value of the services you've received so far might be worth?
What I think that well that there's no price to put on it because it's keeping me sane. You know, it's not to say that I don't cry. I was just out working in the yard, which is something that my husband and I always did. We've lived in this house for 44 years.
Wow.
And you get some people saying, well, if it's too much, you just have to get rid of it. Well, you might as well shoot me in the heart. You don't do something like that. You don't tell somebody that. And those are things that we learn at our sessions that you have to take with a grain of salt, that people don't understand what we're going through with the grief.
Mhm.
So to put a price on it, there is no price to put on it because it's keeping me relatively sane, because
Mhm.
can't go anywhere, you can't do anything, especially now with hospice. I mean, with the COVID, you know.
Mhm.
Even though I have brothers and sisters, they're around the country, so I can't go visit with them.
Sure.
Everyone's working, everyone's life's going on normally, and mine's not.
Mhm. Well, I'm so glad that you found a vow and you've been able to participate in our programs. You mentioned Claudia. Are there any other standout staff members
Oh
that you
yes,
work
yes,
with?
you have Jessica, and I don't know last names. Okay,
Yeah.
Jessica, and then you have Nancy, and I can't say the poor girl's name, Nunja. I
Yeah.
yeah, but she's another one. Those are the main ones that come to my mind. Joanna
Mhm.
helped Nancy.
Mhm.
Nancy is the oh the religious the what was the name of it?
Chaplain,
What now?
the spiritual chaplain.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So there are several that I that have interacted with us.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Well, if you were to be able, in closing, to say something to someone who is considering making a donation in order to help fund this program, do you have
Mhm.
anything you would like to say to that person or that
Um,
foundation or that company if they were
right.
considering making a donation? Any message for them?
Um, I would have to say I can't thank you enough for anything that you can help with this program because it has helped me great, so great that I can't explain in words. And the bottom of my heart that's still shattered, but it would just be so comforting to know that this is available, and we can continue to help those that are grieving in such a fashion that it's unbelievable how it helps us get through our days. And I
Mhm.
can't thank you enough for anything that you can do to help out with this. Is so comfortable for us. And I know that everyone would feel the same way because we're learning a whole new group of learning to know a whole new group of people. And the main thing is how we can interact with each other and learn from each other. That's the counseling is there, no doubt. They're the moderators and they help us, but it's the individuals that help us even grow further to live in our new journey.
Yeah. And it'll never be normal. It's just new, right? Yeah.
Right.
Well, Nora, I really do appreciate your time today. It's been lovely talking with you. And thank you again for authorizing us to use the content of this video to share with our donors and potential funders how positively the program has impacted your life. We welcome you to continue to participate in bereavement programs so long
Yeah.
as you feel like it's helpful to you. You are a part of the Avow family, and we're really grateful to know you. And
Thank you.
I appreciate your time today. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.